Hello all. Been a while. Been a few years. I can't believe I let a few years go by without posting a video. Was not my intention to do that. Just kind of wound up that way. Just spoke to a good friend of mine for the first time in at least 8 or 10 years on the phone. You know, you stay in touch with people on Facebook and Instagram and, you know, other social media, but, and that's cool, that's really cool, but it's, you know, you're not really talking to them. And it's amazing how quickly time just flies by, you know what I mean? It's just like, oh, I'll get to it, and then before you know it, a year, 5 years, 10 years have gone by, and it's just like, you know, what happened, you know? So, to my knowledge, the last time I put a video up was sometime around I think 2018, 6 years ago, which is demented. But I just recently had a couple of people subscribe to my channel, so thank you. And they were, I believe, referred to me by Mike over at Gray 1951, who I've shouted out before. And I very much appreciate him encouraging me to get back on YouTube. There's a great community here of people sharing their collections, sharing their pickups, sharing their knowledge of movies. And I'm going to try and make an effort to do this more often. I've been enjoying watching everybody's videos out there. I get a lot out of YouTube. Sometimes I feel like I'm wasting my time, you know, skimming through Facebook and that kind of thing. But I never really feel like I'm wasting my time with YouTube, because I feel like, you know, I'm having I'm corresponding with people, even if all I do is leave a, you know, hey, nice pickups, you know. So I'm going to try to make this more of a regular thing. So let's start. This was big news. I forget when this came out. When this Blu-ray was released, I should say. But it was pretty big news, because we've been waiting for a Blu-ray for this for a long time, and that is Blood for Dracula. I love this movie. I got to meet Paul Morrissey and Udo Kier and Joe D'Alessandro and Stefania Cassini, all of whom were very nice people. And I have the Criterion DVDs of this and Flesh for Frankenstein, and both of them are autographed by 2 to 3 of the 4 of them. I have yet to get Joe D'Alessandro's autograph, although I did get to see Joe D'Alessandro live doing a Q&A after a showing of I Love You, I Don't, the movie he made with Jane Birkin. That was cool. That was cool to see. Seeing the two of them together in person was quite something. So anyway, I love this movie. This is probably, I don't know if this is my favorite vampire movie, but it's probably my favorite Dracula movie. Just because it's so weird and so bizarre. And Udo Kier is great. A lot of people complain about Joe D'Alessandro sticking out like a sore thumb, you know, as a 1920s, this movie takes place. It's like a 1920s servant living in Italy, you know, talking like this. And but that's the joke. I mean, this is as much of a comedy as it is a horror movie or a Eurotrash erotica film. But I think it's very funny. It's really bizarre. It's really gross. And, you know, I understand if it's not your thing. It's a very, very bizarre movie. It's not for everybody. But I love it. I'm just going to go through these real quick. Maybe I'll do another video where I actually go through this, but there's been unboxings of this already on YouTube, so there's really no need for me to do that. But yeah, I love this movie. It's great. Udo Kier is just, he's a powerhouse. He's one of the greatest cult actors ever. Just great voice, great face, funny, great actor. Perfect to play Dracula. So, yeah, I got this when it first came out a few years ago, and I was very excited that this was on Blu-ray. It looks great, and it comes with the CD soundtrack, and the soundtrack, the score for this is fantastic. As I'm sure most of you know, Andy Warhol had little to nothing to do with the production of this movie. I believe he put up a certain, I think he put up money for it, and he lent his name to the marketing of it. And people who were associated with him, you know, behind the scenes, and Joe D'Alessandro, who was one of his big stars, were obviously in it. So, but yeah, this is Paul Morrissey's movie. Paul Morrissey wrote the screenplay. He actually dictated the screenplay to his secretary every day, who then wrote down scenes that they would shoot. He planned on shooting this and Frankenstein in the same sort of improvisational way that they shot the other films, but because most of the people in this movie spoke little to no English, that was too hard to do. So he had to actually write it down, and then I don't know whether they phonetically read the lines or whether they, you know, knew enough English that they were able to actually understand what they were saying. I don't know. But because of all that, probably because of all of that, you know, make it up as you go along kind of filmmaking, is probably why the movie ended up so offbeat and weird. So I don't know if that was the intention. That's how it ended up. And the special effects in this are by Carlo Rambaldi, who would go on to work with Steven Spielberg on Close Encounters and E.T. and do the special effects for a whole bunch of other big horror movies. But this, I think, was early in his career that he worked on this. So, next. I had this movie. This movie holds a very special place in my heart. From, again, this is from Severin. This is also from Severin. This is actually Beyond the Darkness, or Blue Holocaust, or Buio Omega. But I first saw it as Buried Alive. And this is the Severin release, which comes with this slipcover that recreates the Thriller video poster, or a Thriller video cover for this release, which comes with the warning on the back that this motion picture is one of the most violent films ever made. There are scenes of sadistic cruelty graphically shown. If the presentation of disgusting and repulsive subject matter upsets you, please do not view this film. And that's basically a trigger warning, isn't it? It's just a more exaggerated version of the one they came up with for Dawn of the Dead, which was, you know, due to scenes that may be considered shocking, no one under 17 should view this film. So a lot of movies around that time, the late 70s, early 80s, started using warnings like that. If they didn't want to try to get an MPAA rating, they would just put that on the poster, and that was enough to get people to go to see it. But yeah, this was released by Thriller Video. along with, oh, let me grab it. I'm not sure. I wasn't going to show this today, but along with Cannibal Ferox, also known as Make Them Die Slowly, which had a similar, if not the exact same, warning on it. There were two of the movies that Elvira, who used to host Thriller Video cassettes, did not want to be a part of. So, yeah, this is the, there's the Beyond the Darkness, Joe D'Amato. It's a great, looks great. It's as good as I've ever seen this movie look. I really like this movie a lot. It's sleazy as hell. It's gross. It holds a special place in my heart, as I said, because it's the only movie I have ever watched that I had to turn off because it was so gross. I have made it through every other movie without having to stop for anything other than maybe having to, use the bathroom or grab a snack or something. This is the only one I ever had to turn off because I couldn't watch it anymore. Of course, I finished it the next day. But when I first rented the VHS when I was a kid, I think I was in high school. I rented it from the video store, and I hit a point. It was just a scene where I just went like, "Oh God, okay, I can't watch this anymore. This is disgusting. I'm going to throw up," and I turned it off. So, and in case you're wondering, it's the same scene that pretty much everybody grossed everybody out. Right after they have melted down the body of the hitchhiker and dumped her in the garden, and they go inside, and for some reason, Iris, the housekeeper, decides this is a perfect time to have lunch, and she pours them each a bowl of like stew, and for some reason, either it's in his imagination or she's deliberately messing with him because they have like this weird sadomasochistic relationship. She like is chewing with her mouth open and like there's stuff dripping out of her mouth and stuff, and then he can't stop thinking about the puddle of hitchhiker goo in the garden. He keeps seeing it in his head, and it keeps flashing on the screen as she's going like mwah, mwah. And he gets up and throws up. And because, these Italian filmmakers in the 70s and 80s did love their vomit. Yeah, so I just was like, ugh, and I turned it off, and I waited until the next day, and I said, okay, let me finish the movie, and I actually watched that scene over again. I said, I don't want to I want to see how they just ease into the next scene, and yeah, and this is also another one. I'm not going to give it away, but this is one of the few Italian horror movies that actually scared the crap out of me. There is I'm not going to say when it happens, but there is a extremely well done jump scare in this movie that made me jump out of my seat when I first saw it because I absolutely wasn't expecting it. Which is stupid because I should have, because it's pretty obvious when it's going to happen, but regardless. Really good horror movie. Classic drive-in grindhouse exploitation movie from Joe D'Amato, who made a lot of movies. Made some pretty good movies, made some pretty bad movies. But pretty much all of his movies are just shamelessly sleazy. And this is right up there with the sleaziest, grimiest of them. So, highly recommended if you like disgusting, sleazy movies. And I know some of you do, and there's nothing wrong with it. So, on the opposite end of the spectrum, although I'm sure the director of this and the other people who made this are big fans of the previous films I showed. Dark Man. I am not a big steelbook guy. I don't have a problem with steelbooks. I'm not, I don't collect specifically. I don't collect specifically steelbooks. But I thought this was so cool. Just recreating the sort of the teaser poster. Really neat. There's Liam Neeson. My daughter asked me what this movie was about. I told her, imagine if the Phantom of the Opera was a superhero. And she said, oh, cool. Yeah, I watched. I actually haven't watched this, but I watched a few scenes just to see how it looks. It looks great. But I watched it not that long ago on Shudder. My wife and I watched it, and I forgot how thrilling that helicopter chase scene is. That's an amazing action scene. And to think that, Sam Raimi up to this point had made like these low budget horror movies, to suddenly jump to making such a large scale Hollywood movie is really impressive. I mean, this is. I like Spider-Man. I like Spider-Man. I loved Spider-Man 2, and I haven't seen Spider-Man 3 yet. But I'm not saying this is a better movie than them, but the helicopter scene, in my opinion, that whole action scene is more thrilling than anything in any of the two Spider-Man movies that I've seen. So, love this movie. Great cast: Liam Neeson, Frances McDormand. It's Larry Drake, great bad guy. He plays a great bad guy. It's so weird seeing him on this after he was on L.A. Law as such a mild-mannered character. So, yeah, love this movie. Love this release. This is great. It's so cool. Yeah, speaking of the helicopter. Ooh. So, yeah. I don't have a 4K player yet. I don't have a 4K TV yet. I have a lot of these releases have 4K discs in them, so I'll have some to watch. So I'm excited about that. This is a release I was really surprised to hear about, and I'm glad I got it. From Vinegar Syndrome. Existence. I like this movie a lot. I believe that David Cronenberg, he was working. I believe that this is based on his screenplay for when he was supposed to be making. He was the first choice to make. I believe he was the first choice to make Total Recall. And his original screenplay was fairly close to. I think it's Philip K. Dick. The story is called "We Can Remember It For You Wholesale." I think his story was his screenplay was actually closer to the source than what ended up in the Paul Verhoeven version. Although I like Paul Verhoeven's Total Recall, but yeah, I think that David Cronenberg kind of lost interest when he realized that they wanted an action movie and not more of like a cerebral sci-fi movie. And so he, I don't know if he left the project or he got fired, but I think he left the project, and then he took his screenplay for that, and I'm not sure about this. This is what I believe to be the case. He took that screenplay and he crafted into this. Great movie. I love Jennifer Jason Leigh. I like Jude Law. So cool to see Jennifer Jason Leigh and David Cronenberg working together. Haven't watched this in a long time, but this release is beautiful. It's great. And it comes with a booklet. Here's... I guess that's what it would look like if it didn't come with this cool case that it comes with. But yeah, great film. Love it. Really weird. And also from Vinegar Syndrome, and the companion piece to the first film I showed, Flesh for Frankenstein, or as it is referred to here as just Frankenstein, film by Paul Morrissey. I assume because Paul Morrissey in recent years has taken to trashing Andy Warhol. Although I don't know if he would have made any of these movies that he made if it hadn't been for Andy Warhol. There's debate on how much they helped each other's careers, but regardless, this was what do you call it? Promoted in the United States as Andy Warhol's Frankenstein. I'm not sure about outside of the United States, but here, yeah, it was referred to as Andy Warhol's Frankenstein. And this is cool because it's in anaglyph 3D, the blue and red 3D. Artwork is great. They used, I don't know which of these are commissioned and which of these are actually original. I think this is a European poster, Flesh for Frankenstein. This, I believe, was one of the original posters in the U.S. is this cool Frankenstein 3D poster. And all these people, oh my god, it's coming out of the screen! This is an epic release. It was worth waiting for this to get a remastered Blu-ray release for this release. This is awesome. This is like look at this set. Look at how thick that is. Oh, it's just great. And I love this movie. I actually like Dracula more. I think Dracula is a better movie overall, but this movie is this is great trash. It's so ridiculous and over the top and bizarre. And again, I think it ended up that way. The best weird movies wind up that way. I think that if you're setting out to make a weird movie, it usually isn't going to turn out well because it then becomes too self-conscious and you're trying too hard. I think that the Coen brothers have fallen into that trap a few times. Barton Fink is a film that I think tries way too hard to be weird. This movie is just weird. It just wound up that way because of the circumstances under which it was shot. And, that's what I like. So, one of the best exploitation movies ever made. I love it. It's great. And the 3D disc, I forgot to mention, the 3D, they mute the color, so it's not quite black and white, but it's like a sepia, a very, very, the color is muted, so the 3D works really well. I couldn't believe how well the 3D worked. The only problem is, for me, anaglyph 3D, it gives me a headache. I can't watch it for very long without getting a headache. So I watch the 3D disc in like little, just parts. I just watched, bits and pieces of it. But I couldn't believe how well it worked. It really blew me away. Okay. Here is another one, like the Buried Alive, Buio Omega, Beyond the Darkness. This is another one where this release recreates the original VHS cover. The Gates of Hell. Lucio Fulci's City of the Living Dead. City of the Living Dead. This is the beginning of the infamous intestine vomit scene. But this movie, for me, it'll always be The Gates of Hell. This is definitely, I'll do a video. I'm sure I'm going to do, if I start my series of the first time I ever saw, this will be on it. Because when I first saw this movie, this was probably my first extreme horror movie. It's not that extreme, but it was my first Italian gore movie. It was the first movie I ever saw that was like this. How's that? And I was, I think I was 13 when I saw it, and it just amazed me. I was just like, it was like, it seemed like human beings didn't make it. It was so off the wall, it was so beyond anything else I had ever seen. Like, I just couldn't believe stuff that was happening in it that I was watching. It was so insane. And it's a bonkers movie. It's not just an Italian zombie movie. The Beyond is closer to being an Italian zombie movie. Obviously, Zombie is the Italian zombie movie, but this is I would say yes, it's a spaghetti splatter movie, absolutely. But it's just if you're an H.P. Lovecraft fan, it captures that feel. People complained about the gore, the gratuitous violence, and just the nonsensical, incoherent plot. Especially at the time when it first came out. It's been reassessed since. I think it's been more respected in recent years. But when it first came out, people were just like, "What is this garbage? This is this stupid, disgusting horror movie." But it does capture that. It captures that feeling of Lovecraft where it's just like something's just not right. You can't quite figure out what it is, but there's just something's just wrong. And this movie, everything is just wrong. This town is just... It's like the idea of a cursed town. This, like, the town has just gone bad. It's just evil is just infecting the town, and you really get that sense all through the movie. It's got some unbelievably wild gore scenes in it. I almost had to turn this movie off. Okay, during the vomit scene with Daniela Doria vomiting up what appears to be gallons of real intestines. I was just like, oh my god. I almost turned it off, but I didn't. I stuck with it. And then, of course, after she vomits her intestines, you would think that would be it, and that the scene would be over after that. But no, then she reaches over, or someone reaches over. I'm not sure whose hand it is, but someone reaches over and squashes her boyfriend's brain out of the back of his head. Which is I guess, that's like the bizarre, surreal gore version of da-da-da-da-da-da. And that is, her boyfriend is played by Michelle Soavi, who would go on to make Cemetery Man and some other films. And work with Joe D'Amato, who I already talked about. So, yeah, I love this. I love it. I love that it recreates the Paragon home video release, which is how I first saw it. So, this is awesome. Cauldron Films. Lucky enough to be friends with one of the founders of Cauldron Films, who runs Diabolique DVD. Great company. Great distribution. Great label. They've done released some like Vinegar Syndrome. They're putting out these beautiful editions of these obscure horror films. It's great. It's a great time to be a movie collector right now. Which is oddly when streaming seems to be taking over, and people watch 95% of all their programming online. Now seems to be when these physical releases are making a big comeback, because these collector's editions are just fantastic. So a slightly more mainstream movie now. The Hitcher. This is the Umbrella releasing version of this. It looks great. I watched this. This is one of I haven't watched all the ones that I've got here yet, but I watched this. I forgot what a great movie this is. It really is a great movie. It made me think of how much Siskel and Ebert hated it. Especially Gene Siskel, I think, just thought it was just senseless violence. But Roger Ebert despised this movie. Like, he thought it was like some kind of, personal affront to him. Like it was a slap in the face to him somehow. And he hated it. And I think it's a really intelligent, interesting, disturbing, complex, thrilling film. But it's got a real dark side to it. And Rutger Hauer is great. C. Thomas Howell is very good in it too. I never thought of him as much as an actor, but he's very good in this. And once again, Jennifer Jason Leigh, who unfortunately has a... I don't want to give anything away. She goes through a lot in this movie. She gets pulled in all directions in this movie. So, but yeah, it's spectacular car chase scenes. Another really exciting helicopter chase. It's great. It's a great film. Great film, and it's got a really good documentary about the making of the movie. It's got a documentary about Rutger Hauer's career, which I have not watched yet, but I will. And really cool artwork. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not always a big fan of the newly commissioned artwork for these movies. Like, I like it, but I'm the kind of collector who, as soon as I get the movie home, I flip it around and put the original poster art. Like with the Scream Factory. You know, their newly commissioned artwork, some of it's good, but the first thing I do is flip the wrap around so that I have the original artwork, because I always prefer that. Okay, got a few more here. Legend of Boggy Creek. Really creepy. Not exactly a found footage. I wouldn't call it found footage, but more of like it's a fake documentary about a Bigfoot-like creature living in I don't remember where this takes place. Florida, Georgia. I don't recall. Arkansas. So it's the South. But yeah, it's a good movie. It's a really, really well done, really eerie, low budget movie. If you're a fan of Bigfoot, if you're a fan of like the Blair Witch Project, Lake Mungo, that kind of horror, which I am, this is even a Mondo movie. It's got that kind of feel to it because of the early '70s. Grainy quality of it, but yeah, this is great. I just watched this, I don't know, a couple months ago. It holds up really well. Yeah, highly recommend this. Really good movie. Shriek of the Mutilated, another Yeti movie. This is a movie that I think very much like Blood for Dracula, Flesh for Frankenstein. It has I think it was just intended to be nothing more than just sort of a monster movie, or like just a quick little drive-in quickie feature, but just it wound up being way weirder than I think it was intended to be. It's a very strange, bizarre movie, which is basically the only thing that keeps it from being unwatchably stupid. Because it really is a dumb movie, but it's like Plan 9 from Outer Space. As bad as Plan 9 from Outer Space is, it's more weird than it is bad. You know, it's bad, but it's just so bizarre that the weird sensibilities on display in the movie sort of outshine how bad it is, and that's kind of what makes it so entertaining. It's what's made it last for so long and become more of a pop culture icon of a film. But yeah, this is along those lines. You know, this, Andy Milligan's movies, The Rats Are Coming, The Werewolves Are Here, movie like The God Monster of Indian Flats. It's a terrible movie, but it's just so strange that's kind of what makes it fun. And yeah, here's the I don't know if this is the original artwork. I think it is, but yeah, go ahead and give away the monster, why don't you, right at the beginning. But yeah, highly recommended if you're a fan of bizarre, offbeat 70s drive-in movies. This is definitely at the top of the list of ones to watch. So we're going to end with a bang. Silver Bullet. See what I did there? I think you do. I really don't. I have no idea why I wanted to own this. I really don't. I saw this movie once in the 80s when it first came out. I thought it was okay. I didn't think much of it one way or another. But for some reason, I heard that this was coming out, and I wanted it. I wanted to own it. And so I bought it. Yeah, this is great. I love the, I think, is this the same? Yeah, it's the same. I believe this is the original poster art. I think so. And I love this. This is great. Yeah, Cycle of the Werewolf is a really great little Stephen King novella with terrific illustrations by Bernie Wrightson, the comic book artist. But this is it's a good movie. It's like if you're a fan in one way or another of Cat's Eye and Maximum Overdrive, if you can appreciate the cheesiness of those films, you'll like this. It's very much along those lines. Like those three movies, I think, Stephen King, Dino De Laurentiis collaborations. I you know, if you can get into those two, you'll like this. Really weird werewolf makeup. Sort of an odd cast. Gary Busey, Everett McGill, Terry O'Quinn from the Stepfather movies, Corey Haim. My only it's fun. It's fun. It's nothing great, but it is fun, and it is kind of offbeat and campy and schlocky. My only problem with it is I can't remember the name of the actress who plays the older sister, other than I know she played Anne of Green Gables on TV. But she narrates the story, and there's no reason for there to be narration at all. But you know, if they were going to do the narration anyway, there's no reason for her to be doing it. It doesn't make any sense. The narration is totally unnecessary. If you took it all out, it would not make any difference in the movie. It's not a hard movie to follow. And there's no reason for it to be told from her point of view, because most of the movie is not told from her point of view. It's told from multiple points of view, actually. Yeah. Fun movie. I just wanted it, and I have it, and there you go. So, that is it. That's it for today. That's it for my first video in, I think, 6 years. Jeez. Yeah, that is the six. I forget. 6 of those movies that I just showed you, I got with Christmas money. I bought them from Diabolique DVD. And both Darkman and The Hitcher were pre-orders, so I had to wait for them to come in before I got them. It was worth the wait. I am very happy to have them in my collection. I was not collecting Blu-rays for a while. I'm not quite sure why I stopped, but then during the shutdown, we weren't going anywhere, we weren't doing anything, so both my wife and I were able to luckily continue working. We were fortunate, and so we treated ourselves to some treat. We were able to get some treats that we normally would not have bought, and so I found my my love of collecting Blu-rays. That sparked my love of collecting Blu-rays again. So, and one of the things that we did was we bought a projector and a screen, and And we started showing movies out in the backyard when it was nice out. So in a couple of months, in May, we will start that up again. So we have, we call them, we have a drive-in night. So we have, usually show a double feature of 2 movies that would have been shown at the drive-in in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and make, sort of stereotypical drive-in food, barbecue sandwiches, egg rolls, pizza, and invite some people over and watch movies out in the yard. It's fun. So, that's it. Sorry it's been so long. I promise that I will try to make sure it doesn't take that long for me to do another video, and hope everybody's okay. Hope everybody has a nice, has been having a nice year so far, and I'll see you next time. Take care.